Hey guys, Sam from TMVC, Green Line Tactical, and Warrior Poet Society. Today I'm going to talk about lasers and some must-haves for a laser. If you want to deem it a frontline laser, meaning your primary laser that's going to go on a dedicated home defense weapon, duty weapon, or whatever weapon you're issued if you're in a mill unit. Lasers have to have these things, and if they have some other things, it's just kind of nice to have. But here's a couple of examples of some lasers. This is a MAL, this is a C1 Plus from B.E. Myers. This is a Insight PEC 2. It's an older laser, still works fine though. And then I have the new Steiner Tor laser, which is just an IR laser. It is a tunable, steppable IR laser only. So, of these three lasers, just a random smattering of offerings on the market. The only two that I would actually deem frontline lasers or capable of performing in a frontline laser capability is the MAL and the PEC 2. And you may ask yourself why. Well, here's why. All right, so to be deemed a frontline capable laser, it must do three things. A frontline laser has to have an IR laser and illuminator all in one package, right? So PEC 2 has an IR laser and illuminator, as does the MAL. The Tor is just an IR laser. There is no illumination capable. So the second thing is the ability to activate both the IR laser and the illuminator at the same time. You need to be able to flood an area with artificial illumination for searching, identifying, and then you need to be able to accurately put fire on that area at the same time via use of your zeroed IR laser. So if a laser does not do that, it is not a frontline laser. I am sorry. And then the third ability is to interface with pressure pads and tape switches. Sometimes rails are long and you can't get your hand out far enough, or you have them set up in such a way for use with clip-on night vision devices for more long-range work or whatever, that you can't get to the laser. So you need to be able to activate them via the supplied OEM factory pressure pad, maybe a Unity hot button or a programmable tap switch or something like that, sorry, tap sync, or a Surefire SR07 switch, any of those switches, but it needs to basically have an input jack for a crane plug. At the PEC 2 and the MAL do. PEC 15s, LA5s, some of the Steiner D-Ball series have all that capability. Okay, so those are the must-haves. The secondary features that are just kind of nice-to-haves, definitely not a deal-breaker though, is a Viz laser. Outside of certain, mission requirements, most folks don't necessarily need a Viz laser. It's nice to have. If you find yourself using gas mask CBAs and stuff like that, the Viz laser may come into play, but I don't use a gas mask that much, so for my contextual purposes, a Viz laser is definitely secondary. They can help you zero the laser during the day, assuming that they are all slaved together, which is the second nice to have kind of deal. The PEC 2's IR illuminator and laser are not slaved together. They are independent of each other, so it is on you as the end user to set the illuminator up for use in conjunction with the laser as you see fit. The MAL, however, is slaved. So you zero the Viz laser, and it all kind of just, syncs up with each other. And then a quick battery change out or a power saving mode is a very, very nice to have function. The Steiner Tor turns itself off to conserve batteries. I think the battery life is like 200 hours on the 1/3 in battery, but I think it turns itself off after 8 hours if you don't do anything with it, which is, that's a really cool function that this laser has. Though it's not a frontline laser, it's a cool software function. Laser diodes drain battery or milliamps off of the battery, even when they're in the on position, if they're not actually being manipulated or activated. So it's something you need to be aware of. Laser diodes drink milliamps like a jet fighter drinks, aviation gas. So people ask me, what's the battery life on a laser? Well, for all lasers, they suck. Okay, just just get it in your head that they suck. So having a quick battery change out is a really, really handy thing should you go into a situation and the mission or whatever you're doing, the task at hand, is a long, drawn out process. You know, most lasers will give you some type of indicator, you know, a flashing LED, or the illuminator or the laser will blink or something like that to let you know that the laser is getting low on voltage or amperage in the battery. So those are the three nice to have things. There's some other things out there, but you know, for my context and purposes, they're kind of, you know, that, you know, the Viz override thing, in a law enforcement capacity, I could see it being, you know, necessary, and that may become, you know, one of the must-have things depending on your context. For me, it's not, so I didn't list it up there, but some people, they really like that Viz override. But circling back, these are the three things a frontline laser must have. If your laser is doing these three things, you're doing good, and I would, you know, feel comfortable sticking those on a primary, you know, duty weapon, carbine, whatever you want to call it, or if you use a pistol caliber as your primary, whatever. As long as your laser does these things, cool. If it does these things, it's just icing on the cake. Anyway, you know, if you've got a D-Ball A3, a PEC 15, a MAL, a PEC 2, whatever, you know, cool. You're doing it right. Anyway, frontline lasers, this is what they need. Have a good one, folks. Hopefully you'll see you in a canine class.